Good morning, real estate enthusiasts. So I wanted to pop in really quick. I am going to be traveling for the next little while, and so I love to travel because it kind of gives you so many different perspectives on the real estate market. So I wanted to touch really quick on supply and demand, inflation, and just like a little bit of like the value of money. So one of my questions is like, do you think a crash is coming? And if so, what type of crash? So a lot of people feel that a similar crash of 2008 is around the corner. But I personally don't feel that that's the case, because in 2008, the crash came because of the inaccurate lending and the creative lending that came from banks. And so we basically lost the lending power and structure underneath everything. And so that collapsed, which collapsed the housing market, because all the properties were lended by banks and the banks collapsed. So right now, banks are aligned in a really strong position right now. So we aren't in the same situation where we'll have a 2008 crash. But I just kind of wanted to give an demand. So right now I'm in Utah, and it's been fascinating. We come about every year. And there is some land on the other side of these houses that has been just kind of an open field for years. I mean, it's never been developed. And every single time we come, there's just mass development coming, subdivision going up, huge multifamilies coming up. But I'm just kind of giving an example on a single family right now. So, for example, this lot is preferring to sell around $2 million. This lot was in the $200,000 range. So is that accurate? Not at all. Supply and demand are still there. If there's land available, people will not pay overinflated prices. And so yes, that lot will not get sold. But as inflation rises and the dollar decreases, that could be a land that sells for $2 million, but it's because the value of the dollar changed and inflation just went absolutely crazy. So $2 million could equal $200,000 today, 10 years from now. Hopefully not. That would be massively extreme and a horrible situation. But I'm just stating that the concept of money is not what people think it is. And so when you want to hold on to land and say, I want to sell it for $2 million no matter what, even if that's in 20 years. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because the value of money will be half, a third, or nothing of the value it is today. So did you truly make your money by holding it, or did you completely lose? Well, I mean, a lot goes into that, but in reality, if you held on to it for 20 years to hold out for $2 million, you lost. So another piece of it. So these houses, depending on when you developed them, were built for way less. So like, let's give this house for example. So this house was built a couple of years ago. So building costs were around $100, $150 a square foot. So that house could be built for $300,000 to $500,000. And land was expensive. It still had a lot of value because we're in Utah, but it was still affordable. You could still develop and build and build the property. Now because of the pandemic that occurred, the material shortage and labor shortage and all this kind of stuff, now material is so expensive. Now to develop that same house, it's $200 or $300 a square foot to build that same house. So everyone's seeing all these real estate prices going up. And yes, supply and demand has a huge piece of the crazy real estate boom that we're in right now, where people are just spending an astronomical amount and they're just coming in cash, they're coming over appraised value. But another piece of that is because to develop the same house, now it's worth $1 million to $1.5 million, when just 2 years ago it was worth $500,000, $700,000, because of cost of material and labor to actually develop that property, and because of supply and demand. So I just kind of bring this up to you guys because as we go forward, the value of our money is changing, how we pay for things is changing, and inflation is getting a little bit out of hand. It's going up and up and up and up, and the demand is definitely there in the real estate boom right now, and supply is going to catch up, but what's being developed right now is costing so much more than it was 2 years ago. So is there going to be a crash? Is there going to be a decrease in the value of the real estate properties, commercial and single family? So I'm just kind of throwing these questions out to you guys. I'm really curious on which direction you think. Obviously, I've only talked about 3 or 4 points, and there's definitely more that goes into that. And that's why I say the situation we're in right now is not like 2008, because there's so many pieces that are controlling the market right now. But I'm really curious on what you guys think is going to happen, what you feel about where the market is going, and what you think is going to be triggering that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below, share. It's just, being in the real estate market, whether you're single family or commercial, it's just a fascinating kind of direction right now. It's not necessarily a completely new situation. History always repeats itself. But there are little pieces here and there that are, specific to us. But yeah, let's chat about it. And I'd love to touch more on each of the pieces I talked about: supply and demand, inflation, value of dollar, etc. So anything that triggered something or popped out in your mind, comment, and I'll help and get a little bit deeper in discussion. So keep watching the next video, subscribe below, and leave a comment and let me know what you want to learn about, chat about, and what you think is going to happen this year.